But remind us of today's proverb, Mark.
You know, other than kelewele, one of the things I didn't taste was I was on the bush meat possible, and I ate grass cutter and all of those things. Now, after I'd built up my tolerance, you know what I went to eat?
What?
I was like, I'm trying finally to eat monkey meat.
Oh, wow.
I was ready. I had prepared my, after you eat grass cutter, you eat this, that, there. And it's quite polite. You decide, you know what, let me go for the
Extreme.
big kahuna.
You ate Curious George?
No, let me tell you what happened.
I can't
right?
believe you ate Curious George.
They made just one mistake. First, a fun fact, Ghanaians cook animals with their skin on. True? Yeah, like the skin is not removed. So now, when they opened the pot for the monkey meat,
So the head.
the first thing I saw was a hand. And that hand looked so much like mine.
Oh, yuck.
I couldn't eat. That's the only meat ever in the world I've ever rejected. And I've eaten raw meat, very many things. But hapo alinishinda. So, these same
I
people...
still can't believe you're going to eat Curious George, but okay.
I was gonna. If the hand was at the bottom and I saw some nice steak, I would. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people.
I thought about that over the hour and that you start small.
Yeah.
You start small for the good, but you can also start small for the bad.
yeah.
The bad.
Yeah, it grows on you if you allow it in the door. If you open the door and let it in, that's where it begins. You can't say that, it's at the end of the race I started to fail. No. You started, the failure came in bits from the beginning.
To support you, there's a report that was done about the goals of boomers. It's boomers, then millennials, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Gen Z. And what? No, there's a generation.
There's something
there,
inside there, X or something.
Why?
Why? Somebody in the alphabet is between those
Generation Y. So there was Let's assume we are right, because I think there are four.
Okay.
two. Yeah.
So let's say boomers, Generation Y, then millennials, then
Let's see.
Gen Z, right? Because we are Generation Y, it's true, right? So now, if you look at the goals of the boomers, look at the goals of the millennials, and look at the goals of Gen Z, and plus Gen X, Gen Alpha, they're too young to have goals, right? If you look at, no, serious, what does 10, 19, 11-year-old?
They're now 11, 12 there.
Yeah, 11, 12. They have no idea what they desire.
Hey.
Our parents, the parents before us, our grandparents, if you please, were concerned with one thing: how many kids can I get through school? That was it. That was the biggest mission they lived for, right? Number two, you come to the next generation. They wanted to retire with a small car and a house anywhere in Kenya, whether it's in the village or in Nairobi. The moment you built that house, and you built it when you're 50, when your kids are not there, and you built a 4-bedroom, and you felt nice, you have
You're set.
a house, right? That generation ended. Us guys, we wanted more sophisticated success. We wanted to be successful in ways beyond just the house. You want to be successful in career. You want to feel like you lived your purpose, thanks to Miles Monroe. You want to feel like everything in your house is feeding into your inner person and you becoming a better person. You go to Gen Z, they're like, listen, give me an internet connection, a dishwashing machine, a washing machine.
And movements
set.
from A to Z.
Yeah.
Yes, and
B.
I'm done. They don't think about owning a car. They don't think about being part of this huge thing. They easily make groups that just identify with each other.
Yeah.
We are the weed people. We are the rock people. We are the people for umts. We are the people for...
We're the FX guys.
Yes, you get. And how those changes have happened, and you look at it from a household level, yet all these things affected the nation, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
A nation is built by the home.
By the home.
Absolutely. It starts somewhere, really. And I guess we need to, I guess beyond that, just then is that how careful are we when we're looking at where those roots are actually set? And interestingly enough, we can segue from that into the conversation that we're having this hour. We'll not have a Justice Thursday conversation, but if you actually look at it, this is a Justice Thursday conversation.
True.
It coincides with a report that was put out by Tifa yesterday. And I'm just going to set the stage with a couple of numbers for us to build into this conversation. And the chagrin with which we were met when Mark read this story earlier, that 75%, which is the majority of Kenyans, feel that the country is headed in the wrong direction, with the high cost of living being the main reason. Failed leadership, unemployment, human rights abuses, and corruption are the reasons Kenyans feel that the president has let them down. Let's look at some of these numbers, shall we? The top 4 reasons for the wrong direction in May 2025. 45% of people who were surveyed said that this is due to the cost of living.
Yes.
11% of those surveyed said this is due to poor or failed leadership. Remember, these are reasons as to why the whole 75% have said that the country is heading in the wrong direction, I beg your pardon. 10% of that is towards unemployment. 8% of that is human rights abuses, and 8% is corruption. So, if we break it down even further, the majority of Kenyans feel that the country is going in the wrong direction. From that majority, 50% feel as though, or rather almost 50% feel as though this is because life is too expensive. About 11% feel that the leadership is failing. 10% feel unemployment is the problem. 8% feel human rights abuses are the issue. And 8% feel that corruption is the issue. Now, when we look a little bit into the details, we will see that Kenya's direction, 14% say Kenya's headed in the right direction, and 9% say that, they're neither here nor there. The latest poll by Trends and Insights for Africa has laid bare the suffering Kenyans are going through since President William Ruto took over power 2.5 years ago. Now, among the majority who reported that their way of life had changed to worse, Lower Eastern and Nyanza were the majority, standing at 82%, followed by Nairobi and Mount Kenya at 79%. In what reflected the voting patterns in the 2022 elections, the lowest negative figures came from Central Rift and Northern Kenya. According to the survey, in part, at the same time, in none of the 9 zones do even 1/5 of respondents say that their economic state has improved since 2022. The highest proportions being in Central Rift and Northern zones. As a result of personal and family economic situations, 86% of Kenyans felt that the country was headed in the right direction. However, 38% of Kenyans who have suffered economically still felt that the country could salvage something. Now, a lot of this is pointed at the leadership stance that has been taken and the way things have been handled over these last 2.5 years, within which all of these other factors have come into play. The question that we're asking this morning, with all the responsibility that it takes to run a nation, with all the accountability, with all the very carefully, transparency, are we putting all of the responsibility at the foot of the president? And if we are doing that, are we being fair? Are we being fair? And we keep saying things like the fish does what? It rots from the head. You set the tone from the top. The person the one who runs the ship essentially is the one who will be asked the questions.
Yes.
In terms of who you appoint, what policies you are allowed to take root, etc., etc. Are we being fair in our judgment by saying that as a result of what Kenyans feel, the responsibility lies squarely with the president?
Ndu, you've seen me typing away here because I needed a premise upon which for us to start. The Honorable Senator said that the sample size of this opinion polls is too small. And he said it's about 2,000 people. Now, unfortunately, I am a child of a statistician. Right?
Or fortunately, in this case.
Yes. Do you know how many people you need to sample out of 58 million? I assumed even children count on this matter. To get a margin of error of plus or minus 5%, a confidence level of 99%, an estimated proportion of 0.5, and population of 58 million. You only need to sample 664 people.
That means 2,000 people we've actually outdone.
You've outdone, right? So I wanted us to start there so that now, what people mostly do is say the statistics are fake.
Yeah, because it's not enough to take on the whole,
you get
image of the country.
And then people always ask, why was I not asked? You're 58 million, they only need to sample 2,000. You understand? So the probability that you and I will be chosen out of 2,000 is small. But why that is important then is the question, are we being fair to Ruto valid? Because now you will not say polls are fake. Now, here's my contribution. President Ruto, in executing his job, has two key functions of that job. Statecraft and running government. Right? Running government is the ministers, everything. Statecraft is managing the emotions, the psychology, the feelings of the people. That's what statecraft is. You understand? How do you make your people happy? Okay? So here's my first reason why I think Kenyans may be being unfair to Ruto. His way of speaking. His way of speaking is very harsh. Okay? Now, when you speak harshly to me all the time, I start to develop a negative attitude. You understand? Even your dad, if he was harsh all the time, he could have been harsh 10% of the time, you're fine. But 99% of the time you're harsh to me, then I start first disliking you, and then I do not see what good you do because I'm already angry. I don't know whether I'm making sense. That is the first thing that I think leads to this place where the president is, where people perceive 75% it's headed in the wrong direction. Because also as a leader, when you're angry all the time, it also symbolizes panic. Right? It shows that you're so not confident of what you're doing that you're hiding it in harsh emotions. It's like when you come home and you're late and your wife asks you, where are you from?
And you can say, why are you always asking me questions?
Exactly. Then we know you're hiding something. Because that anger then leads to other side effects. I think, number one, part of the reason these numbers are very high is how the president has not softened his tone to speak to the people like a father.
You know what? And that's the thing, that's what that does. Because if we do ask the question that over the last, just say to be even, conservative, 12 months.
Yes.
And the emotion or the feeling that has come out from Kenyans, whether it is spoken, whether it is written, whether it is expressed on social media, has been compounded, it has been compacted, it is pressed down, shaken together, running over. Kenyans have not been shy to let people know how they have been feeling.
Yes.
And sadly, this feeling is linked to something they can touch, feel, or experience. And see. They can see it. It is not your pie in the sky variety of, maybe I could lend my voice. No. That people are actually feeling this way. People can see it. People don't have enough in their pocket. People don't have enough on their plate. People are having to struggle a little bit more. And the resultant expression is as a result, it is what is happening here. True. It's not making up stuff. The question, though, then, is that, is it fair to take all of this that you're feeling and put it out to the person who's leading the country? Others would say, but you said you wanted to come and do the thing. That is why you came and asked us to vote for you. And we gave you our vote. And then as a result of that, this and this and this is what is happening. Okay? Now, if you react to my reaction, if you react to my reaction in the manner that we have seen you react, then I have to ask you, why are you getting so upset if I'm asking you to do what you told us you were going to do in the first place?
You see,
Why should you be angry?
When what he told us to do during his campaign, the promises he gave to Kenyans, was again rubber stamped by his oath of office. And I'll just read it because it is enshrined in the Constitution.
Yes.
This is what he said. I, President William Ruto, swear solemnly affirm that I will truly and diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya in the office of President, acting President of the that is if it's acting President, that I will diligently discharge my duties and perform my functions in the office of President of Kenya, and I will do justice to all in accordance with this Constitution as by law established and the laws of Kenya without fear, favor, affection, or ill will. The promises he gave, then there is the oath of office. He is the person who the buck stops with. When Kenyans express their feelings with regard to high taxes, it is based off, because we know it is the government that comes with the proposals in the finance bill, then an act of parliament. It is the president who finally seals that act and that bill and becomes an act of parliament. When questions are being asked, it will definitely go back to him because he's the one that puts the final seal on that act of parliament. When we talk about matters to do with insecurity, who wields so much power in this country? He's the CEC, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. CIC. He is the person, He is the person who appoints the Inspector General of Police. If injustices are done by the police, remember we will ask, but you are the one who hired the Inspector General. Are we being unfair? No. We are being fair by asking you to uphold what you promised.
And Laseto, you're absolutely correct. And I no longer think, and this is my seriously considered opinion, I do not think the quagmire between the president and the people is the people's complaint.
Yes.
I don't think that's where we're stuck. Because I do not, we praise Kibaki so much. But if you ask certain people, he lost 2007. He was unpopular enough to be threatened by Raila.
Even in 2002.
Yes.
Yeah, even in 2002. But okay.
We live in a country where when you become president, we all move to opposition. If you've ever noticed. Uhuru Kenyatta, who now is somehow a darling, I'm telling you, the day after elections, we started complaining. Where the problem is the reaction. The reaction from the state has not been to soothe. And when it's not been angry, it's been defense. You get? So now you're dealing with a parent who is either angry at you or not appreciating and recognizing what your problems actually are. I don't know whether you get what I mean. It is no problem that you have problems. This is Kenya, my friend. We are a third world developing country. We are supposed to have problems. That's not the issue. The issue is, if I tell you something and you get angry at me because I said it, and then when I do push it a bit further, instead of accepting, you push me to an angle where you are explaining yourself. And let me tell you, there's nothing that makes people angrier than seeing something to be A, and then you insist it is B. That's why people will be pissed about the kidnapped guy, not because he was kidnapped. It's because now people are discussing. Now you think, when you have you carry me foolish.
You carry me foolish. You carry me children.
You carry me well. Basically meaning that you want us to swallow that this guy abducted himself, did all these things. It's then a second layer. And the day I discovered that this thing, and I hope everyone in leadership is hearing me, the day I discovered that this thing is more emotional than it is even about the real tough economic times, etc., is in my entire life when I go to a bar to drink, there are only 3 people I'm willing to discuss. One I'll discuss the most is the one who's broken my heart. Every sip of beer or whatever I'm taking, she left me, she didn't like me, she was toxic. Right? Or number 2, the one I like now. you're so pretty, I like you, you sound so nice, you get. Or we are celebrating a business deal we've done. Those are the only three reasons and things I will talk about in a bar. When I saw kids, and I've followed it from to bars where you can get beer at 150 to the place where rich kids go. The fact that they are willing to stop themselves while drunk, inebriated, high on things legal and illegal, and then they decide to sing one time or Ruto must go. It is no longer about your policies.
No.
It is no longer about what you're doing. It is the fact that it's gotten to a point where you are at the same level as my ex-girlfriend who dumped me. That's the level of feeling they're expressing. Do you know how much it takes when I'm drunk to ask me about politics? I start saying Ruto must go or Uhuru must come back or Ruto
that is the first thing.
Yes.
That's the first thing at top minds, and that you can say with the fullest of conviction. And that is what I keep saying here, that we study messaging and we practice messaging, so we know that if I ask you something and without thinking, the thing that comes to your head, whatever I'm asking you about, the thing that comes to your head is the answer you will give me over and over again. I have to double click on that and I have to ask myself, what is this thing that is making that your answer to everything
Constantly.
that I present to you? And if you're not listening, I keep saying, you know what? It could seem as though, we hear it all the time. We hear that Kenya is now exporting its bad manners. We hear that you wanted to take the things that you do and that are stomached and swallowed here in Kenya, and then you want to take it to another country. But you're not double clicking on what your people are telling you.
Because these are just icons.
They're just
signs.
What are your people telling you when they get, and you have to look at it, when they get on social media and say the things that they say? When you tell somebody that we are going to introduce, and the answer that they give you is Ruto must go.
Yes.
Without even thinking. You don't have to think.
Yes.
And they say, or the things that we are now, the resultant action, it doesn't spur confidence. If you say that somebody sings a song and you transfer them, a group of girls want to do a drama and you shut them down. People protest in the streets and you kill them. Do you know what is resident in the minds of people about June 25th, 2024?
It is an emotional deposit.
It is. But listen, the first statement that the president gave after the events of June 2025 is what people will remember. Not the one that he came and gave the next morning.
Not the apology.
The anger that he felt, and he expressed it that evening without taking into account that Kenyans died on the street that day, without taking into account that people suffered. That is what people remember. So when we ask the question that are we being fair, when we look at these numbers and the things that we say, we are depositing all of this responsibility at the door of the president. It is his responsibility.
It is.
And when you talk about statecraft, the emotions, the psyche, the psychological health of the country, it is one of the things that you do.
Yes. I know we're about to go on a break, right? But I want us to just end on a bit of a bombshell. I honestly believe that Ruto can salvage his presidency. And I'll tell you why. When you look at the creativity of people from Kasongo, El Chapo, now it's one time. Let me tell you, by the time someone deposits their imagination,
imagine if they were on your side.
Yes.
Imagine what they could actually do for and with you.
And you see,
these guys sit and come up with new, clever ways of describing you. It shows two things. Heavy emotional investment. Heavy. And heavy emotional investment, if you use it correctly, you can turn it around.
And you see, this is a government that used that heavy emotional investment while they were campaigning. Because remember, this government was voted based on emotions that the previous government did not do right by them.
Yes.
It is easy to turn it around. Because even today, when you're talking about apology, on the social media, if you just look at people who are listening, are saying, we do not need apologies. We need justice and we need things to work. The rest leave to us.
That's why, as we go on break, we're actually telling the president that imagine this train can't turn around.
Turn around.
It can turn around. And you know what I really believe? I believe that even those who are angry, and if we're going to go by this TIFA research, it's 75% of the population. If those who are angry, those who are upset, who feel let down, I really believe that they want you to do better.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I almost want to shout hallelujah.
They want you to do better.
That's why I keep saying there's something called positive tension.
Yeah.
Because when you analyze, you zoom out as a non-Kenyan, look at the situation. Look at what the people are crying for. They're not even, do you notice? They're not even crying for an opposition. They're not even crying for someone else to take your job. They're saying, do what we want or we will make you want. Like, the formula is right in front of you.
You know, when you sit here and we think of TZ, we say, this is a country that is closed and people don't speak and whatnot. But you walk in the streets of Dar and it's a big construction zone.
Right. Yes, it is.
Speak to any Tanzanian, they will tell you, we don't care. Ni mama. You know why? Roads are being constructed. Everything else is a by the way.
And this is the thing that I'm telling you, because right now what you're going to do by not listening and by not even coming halfway to where people are is that they say the things that Atticus says right now. And he says, you know what, you can say whatever you want, but no apology for murder.
Yeah.
No apology for disappearances. No apology for corruption. No apology for impunity. No apology for broken promises. No apology for children not going to school. No apology for your health system in a sham. No apology for people being on the street for 6 weeks when they should be in the hospital taking care of Kenya's sick. No apology is enough that is going to take care of those things not being done. What is it saying to you? People just want you to do better. You take somebody's son and they've disappeared for a year, bring him back or present him to court.
Yeah.
If you shoot people, let us know who did it, and so that they can pay the price. That even a woman who throws garbage on the side of the road is going to be jailed because she cannot afford 5,000 shillings as a fine.
As bail, or fine.
That's what people are saying. Fix the thing, and you'll find that people's allegiance grows. It will bloom.
Yeah.
It's actually a no-brainer, if you ask me.
I find it so interesting that, and I keep telling this to people, 2027 is going to be the first election that is not going to be about tribe. It's going to be about feeling.
Yeah.
And when it's about feeling, and there's a 45% do that I need everyone to remember. The 45% for the rise in the cost of living.
Yeah.
Since you are an adult, since you are in university or college, well, has this not been an issue?
That's the third thing.
It's always been an issue.
Yeah.
Cost of living has always gone high. We can say it's gone high faster, but it's always gone high.
Yeah.
But this high number comes from pain.
Yeah.
And the pain Kenyans are feeling is what you are seeing them express.
That's
in
what
these
they're telling
multiple
you.
ways.
Yeah.
When Kenyans are doing this, when Kenyans are posting caricatures, when Kenyans are posting messages, they are telling you something. It's a headline and it has got the blue line under it. All they're asking you to do is double click. And see what is happening beneath. And you will find the answer to a lot of those things that you're getting angry over that you needn't. It's 21 minutes to 9 o'clock. Are we being fair to the president? Is Kenya being fair by the things they say, by the feelings or emotions that they put out there? Is it possible that we will, for the first time, have an election in the next 2 years that will be based on emotion, what people are actually feeling? And if you don't come into contact with that, then you might not be the person who rules Kenya next. We'll continue with this when we come back. And that's the question that we're asking. We'll give you a moment to then be able to call in and speak to this conversation. And we continue looking at some of your comments in the on socials. And we'll come back from that at 20 minutes to 9.
On the green course, for the green cause. Tee off for action against climate change and make your day count. The Standard County Golf Classic Eldoret edition is here. Brought to you by the Standard Group in association with Eka Hotel Eldoret. On the green course, for the green cause. Saturday, 14th June 2025 at the Eldoret Club.
Yaani huyu anangorota
Ni kama tractor.
You dears.
Fire.
My hostess.
Yeah, Jezebel. Kumbe unaitwa you dears?
Unaniaibisha mbele ya my family. Severally.
Several times.
550 only. No, you have been a good person to me. Lazima nikuongeze ka kitu bana.
Uko shule. Wewe lipa gari.
Inajua ni kubaba. Hakuna mambo ingine ila kubaba.
You know, it's an interesting thing about the human mind and how it works, that you can actually find yourself getting over the worst of things if somebody has actually shown the true remorse. And if somebody has actually taken a step in your direction to actually do right by you. But I think that we can also know when something is authentic or not, you know. And I really do believe that Kenyans are willing some things to be done better. And in the absence of that is where you see the manifestation of this anger. People are not just angry for no reason. I don't believe that people wake up in the morning and say, well, here's a good day to be angry and let me see how many things I can pull out of my hat to be angry about. Unfortunately, it hits you in the face. I keep saying it's a buffet. When you go and you pick the buffet option, you don't have a choice as to what you will say. Can you go and bring something? No. Yeah. It is what is on the spread that you will take.
You cannot say, I can't see nail patch here. Go bring.
No. It's you've paid for. That is what you get. That is what they have presented to you. Now, if all of the options that they are giving you at that moment is anything to cause you any kind of internal strife, guess what? You will present with, or if it is not cooked properly in the kitchen, or if it's half-baked, or if it was rotten that was served, guess what? You will then present with the symptoms. You will have food poisoning, you will have a headache, or you will not eat, so you'll continue being hungry, and you'll have... That's what we are saying. So these things that we are seeing, people's anger, people's dis-ease, comes as a result of what has been on the buffet for the last however long. They have consumed and they are not satisfied. They have consumed and they have become sick. They have consumed and they have been poisoned. And they are manifesting. Now, it is up to you. You can be angry and say, after all, that is what I got in the kitchen and that's what I put on the buffet. Or you can say, guys, can we fix it?
Yes.
Change the menu.
You know, two things. One, in this life, you've got to be able to sit with someone, people, and say, what do we do? You understand? Even as a father in the house, there are times you stop and say, what do we do? Do we sell this car? Buy a smaller one because fuel is expensive. And that feels nice to be included. Mm-hmm. Please hear that word, included. Thought of as a valuable intelligence, even in an adult conversation. You get? When I talk to my kids, and there are big changes that are happening, including just buying a fridge, I talk to them, and they feel so nice to be included. When the damn fridge appears, they are so happy because it is theirs. I included them. But I want to ask a critical question after I've made that point. Let's go back to the El Chapo name. So, we made fun of it.
Yeah. But there is that thing.
The chapati, 1 million chapatis.
Machine.
Yeah. That's my point. Let me just try and land this plane. First and foremost, we don't need a chapo machine. How many people cook hundreds of chapos every day to sell for lunch? So the government could have said, you know what? We are giving tenders to people who can meet this standard of hygiene in their chapos to provide 1 million chapos to these schools. Guess what? People have jobs, kids have chapos, we're happy. I'm saying this to say it was possible even without the machine. That's what I'm saying, right? But that is not what shocked me. What shocked me is how resistant Kenyans have become to good news from the president. Just think about it, right? So concrete ties that we against him that even when he says and does actual good things, the anger we have
flows over.
Yes, just overrides it. And that's why I keep saying it is so important to fix this broken relationship so that you can hear what Kenyans actually want, which is funny. Can I tell you what I've realized Kenyans actually want? Sorry, this is my communication strategy background. I've realized the only thing Kenyans actually want done are very simple. Are not the promises before elections, and simply the things you did from 2022 when you came into office to 2024 June. Forget every other promise. Forget it. Kenyans just want SHA to work. Wachana na wewe. They want the funding model to work. Wachana na wewe. They want Hustler Fund to actually work. Wachana na wewe. In fact, the reason why Kenyans are tired and keep calling his promises as though they're bad things is because they're so angry about the things that have not been done that now when you bring new things, you're just tiring them.
You see, by the time we're getting to the elections, we had around 280-something promises that were given to Kenyans before the elections. After the elections, we have seen almost every new promise every other week, you know? And even the promises that are given are not being implemented. We're talking about a situation where promises to end extrajudicial killings have never been upheld. Instead, we've seen the numbers go up. It is why today, as you say, Mark, that even a good thing that comes from the president, case in point, an apology that was issued yesterday, one would expect that a Kenyan would embrace that and walk with the president and say, finally, we're getting to that path that we have always been looking forward to. But then again, we'll go back to what Ndu said earlier. The first communication that came from the president after June 25th is what Kenyans will remember, that the president at that point was angry because Kenyans were speaking against what he was saying. And that forms the basis and the concretization of how Kenyans feel and how they are opposing each and everything that the president is saying. Because remember, again, we are being ruled by, the country is being ruled by the rule of law, the constitution, which has not been respected. Public participation, as you include your children to buy the fridge, that is public participation in your house. When Kenyan students said, this affordable housing thing, we do not want it. What did the president say? This is what I want and this is what I'll do. Mtadu. And Kenyans are telling him, tutadu what? This is what we will do. We will object and say no to each and everything you're saying because you've shown us that you do not listen. You do not listen to what it is we're telling you.
You see, and I like what you're saying. Michael Jackson said, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
Yes.
Mr. President, all these people want to feel is care. Honestly, you guys, you see all these things. If you just show care a little bit, these numbers will go down. Because the battle for the soul of this country is emotional. Now let me address the opposition. Dear opposition, Kenyans don't want opposition either. Have you seen any major conversation among Gen Zs, millennials, us guys about opposition? Because we don't want you either. And every time Matiang'i showed up, if you look at social media, they're like, oh, Matiang'i is not the answer. Because, again, please understand, the people are not rejecting a person. They're rejecting a system that has consistently produced leaders and continues to sustain leaders who we feel like don't care about us.
And that's why then, that really, if you really look at it, people are also saying it's not the who,
Yes.
that matters, who's going to come in and be president or whatever. It's
Like,
not the who.
It's even the same Ruto if he
If
can.
exactly.
Yes.
You can even bring, it is about the what that you do. Like
Yes.
Eric Owar is saying here, we actually want institutions to work.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And that can actually be the one panacea that you apply across board.
Yes.
If institutions are working, whether these institutions are brick and mortar or whether they are subjective, if they work, if the institution of integrity was upheld, for example, if the institution of accountability was upheld, if the institution of responsibility and proper governance and management, those are institutions that you cannot go and say on the corner of Harambe Avenue is the institution of integrity. No, that is something that is across board, which everybody opens the door into every day. But if you're then asking about if these other institutions that we see are working, that we've thrown these things out the window, it actually really doesn't matter who's there. It is the person who is doing the thing that people are saying, this is what we actually want to happen. And instilling that sense of, number one, patriotism, nationalism, and that very, it's the thing. It's in my, like, it's the chi inside of you that you say now will actually work, that we're all together in this thing and saying, let's actually make it happen. That is what people want. And also, you don't have to go very far to prove to people that you care or don't care about them. You don't have to, I don't have to tell you I love you for you to know. You will know.
Yes.
You will know that I care for you.
You see, all that is happening right now is a story that has been built up over time. And it's a story of despair. When the president goes to Wajir and says, we will build this road from Ramu to Kotulo and whatever, the president doesn't need to say it. Construct the damn thing. The people will say, it's here, we're using it. If it's all about Shah, let Shah work. The citizens themselves will stand and say, Shah is working.
Yes.
If it's about police,
they'll tell you, good idea.
let the police do their work. Kenyans will say, finally, there is justice that you're receiving from the police. If it's about National Assembly, let the National Assembly be as independent as it is, to a point that the National Assembly can stand and say, Mr. President, here we say no. Hatukubaliani na wewe. At that point, Kenyans will say, our institutions are working. Failure for the institutions to work. What's the result? Objection, objection, objection.
Let me read from the Bible, since we started with prayer.
Wow.
We started with prayer into policy. So this particular scripture, I don't like reading scripture without context. God has spoken through Hosea and has said he will do horrible things to Israel. Then 14, he kind of changes his mind. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, Israel, and bring her into the wilderness, and I will speak tenderly unto her heart. There I will give her the vineyards, make the valley of Achor. I don't want to continue reading. You can read for yourself.
Yeah.
There is tenderness that is needed.
Yeah.
Tenderness. A soft touch. You know, there are statements that are said nowadays very easily by ministers. Nimetoa amri. It sounds, what do you call it? Official and strong. But it sounds like
a threat.
You did not only a threat, but my voice doesn't count.
Yeah.
You get?
As in, I've heard you, but overriding
You
you, this
get-
is what I'm telling you.
Yeah, like I tell you, I've ordered you to go outside. You understand? I may be your boss, but the moment I use the term ordered, it becomes something different entirely in the mental psyche of the people. Me, I think solution number one, all of government should go for tenderness classes.
True.
Then they speak tenderly to the people. No, you have nothing to lose. Because this other route is not working. Be tender. Speak to the people. Because I'll tell you, we will soften. Because now we will hear you when you say, we've got a World Bank loan to pay, so things have to be a bit expensive. Because we've got a World Bank to pay. Like, if you talk to me like that, I feel like at least he considered me before. But if you say, tukola alafu tutafanya, it's totally different. Just make me feel that the fact that I can no longer afford Hennessy VSOP, I miss you. Just tell me you feel my pain. You get what I mean?
You see, today there's something that Cherargei said here that I think for me was really key. He accepted and that there is lack of proper communication from the government side to the people. But that as might be the problem, I think before we even get to communication is we have a problem of empathy and listening from the government to know exactly what it is they want to say. Because if the government would just click on the blue line, they would know what Kenyans are saying, and that would form a basis of a certain communication to the people. But because they don't take the time to understand and listen, genuinely so to what Kenyans are saying, it is why every communication will come out as though you are exporting bad manners.
For me, I think what makes it worse is that they do. I think that they do hear. I think that they are very aware of how Kenyans feel. I think they're aware of what's going on, but that they choose not to do different. And for me, that's what makes it monumentally worse. Even in the same Bible that you read, it says that what is a sin is knowing what you're supposed to do and not doing it is actually a sin. But I think that we know what we are supposed to do.
Can I tell you the truth?
We know.
I honestly believe our president does not know.
No.
Hold on, I'll tell you why. Tell you why. Since Gen Z started, they looked for sponsors. Right? Since Gen Z started, you heard him say he's looking for leaders. You get? If you listen to the innocence by which he said, Senator, that he doesn't know how to reach Gen Z because they don't have leaders, it tells you exactly where the mindset is.
Yes.
The mindset is in 1992. Where did Raila get Mali to go demonstrate? Where did Orongo get Mali to go demonstrate? And these demonstrations obviously had leaders because Martha Karua, Raila were all on the front.
Yeah, so it's incredible to you to imagine that people's psyche, their emotions, their feeling, their conviction is enough for them to say, we don't want this.
Exactly. And therefore, that's why they keep spending time and even calling Akina Boniface Mwangi going there, spreading bad manners. Because in their mind, this
can be sorted out with money.
Yes, exactly. And this feeling that seems to be bubbling in Kenyans must be being sponsored by someone and must be being manipulated by someone. And as long as you're looking at a problem the wrong way, you will never solve it. Yes. This is a very simple thing. This is a question of two platforms. TikTok.
X.
And how the generation Z makes choices democratically. Those guys just do this and then we go to the
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice up.
Questions to be asked, conversations to be had, and these are some of the things that we talk about. Is it time to, we've used this word ever since COVID, pivot? I don't think it's time to pivot, because pivot means that you leave one foot where it is and use the other one to navigate. I think it's actually time you now changed direction and took your foot off that stagnant place. These are the conversations we have. It's important to engage, and we love that you do. We'll continue with more, and we'll look at the university's issue in the country. What's going on? We'll do that at 9. Good morning. This is the Situation Room.